Imagine you're an ancient human ancestor. You have 4 perfectly useful limbs. Then evolution basically says, what if we used only 2? Sounds like a terrible idea. So why did our ancestors start walking upright? Millions of years ago, our ancestors lived in changing environments. Forests expanded and disappeared. Grasslands became more common in some regions. And our ancestors had a problem: food. Finding it was difficult. And unlike today, there was no grocery store. There wasn't even a corner. Trees offered food and shelter, and they could help keep you away from dangerous animals. But some ancestors began spending more time on the ground, and that created a completely new challenge. How do you move efficiently across open ground? That's where two-legged walking becomes interesting. Today, humans are built for walking upright. Our spine has a distinctive curve. Our pelvis is shaped differently. Our legs are long. Our feet have arches, and our big toes line up with the others. Basically, your feet are specialized walking equipment. Very convenient unless you want to climb a tree. But these features didn't appear overnight. Evolution works slowly, generation after generation. Small changes accumulate. So why would natural selection favor walking on 2 legs? Scientists have several ideas, and this is where things get interesting. First, saving energy. Walking on 2 legs can be surprisingly efficient. Imagine searching for food across a large landscape. You might travel significant distances. If one way of moving saves energy, that energy can be used for something else. Finding food, carrying food, looking after children, or ideally not getting eaten. But energy efficiency probably wasn't the entire story, because there was another useful feature: our hands. Walk on 4 limbs, your hands are busy. Walk on 2, your hands are free. And that sounds simple, but it changes everything. You can carry food. You can carry a baby. You can carry objects. You can manipulate tools. But don't make the mistake of thinking tools were the original reason. Early upright walking appeared long before modern humans, so tools were probably not the original reason. Instead, free hands may have been one advantage among several. And there was another possibility: seeing over the grass. Imagine standing in tall grass. If you stand upright, your head is higher. You can see farther. You might notice predators. You might also spot food. But there's a problem. Our ancestors didn't suddenly become tall humans. Evolution is much messier than that. And there are other explanations. So scientists don't treat the grass viewing idea as the complete answer. Now we get to one of the biggest ideas: climate change. Africa's environments changed dramatically over millions of years. Some areas became more open. Trees became more scattered. That could have changed how our ancestors moved. If you spend more time on the ground, walking efficiently becomes increasingly useful. And there may have been another problem: heat. Walking upright exposes less of your body directly to overhead sunlight. Humans also became extremely good at sweating. That combination could have helped our ancestors travel through hot environments. But again, there wasn't one magical day when everyone stood up. Evolution doesn't work like that. Different populations experienced different environments. Different traits appeared at different times, and our ancestors experimented with several ways of surviving. Here's the surprising part. Being good at walking didn't mean our ancestors became perfectly designed. Walking upright came with a price: our backs. If you've ever complained about back pain, congratulations. You are experiencing one of evolution's questionable design decisions. Then there's the pelvis. Walking efficiently on 2 legs required major changes to its shape. But that created another problem: childbirth. Human babies have large heads, and the birth canal has to fit through a pelvis adapted for walking upright. Evolution basically had to balance efficient walking against giving birth to babies with enormous brains. And somehow humans ended up with both, but not perfectly. So when did it start? Scientists have found fossil evidence showing that some ancient hominins walked upright millions of years ago. One famous example is Australopithecus afarensis. It lived roughly 3.9 to 2.9 million years ago. The famous fossil known as Lucy belongs to this species. Lucy was not a modern human, but her skeleton shows adaptations associated with upright walking. And that tells us something incredible. Bipedal walking is much older than our species. Modern humans are relatively recent arrivals in this enormous evolutionary story. But there was still a problem. Being good at walking didn't mean our ancestors became great runners. We aren't the fastest animals. We aren't the strongest. We don't have claws or huge canine teeth. So how did our ancestors survive? Part of the answer was cooperation. Groups could share information, protect children, find food, and watch for danger. Walking upright wasn't the whole story. It was one piece of a much bigger evolutionary puzzle. Over millions of years, our ancestors changed. Their bodies changed, their brains changed, their tools changed. And eventually, one branch produced modern humans, Homo sapiens. We inherited the basic upright walking design. But here's the truly strange part. The ability that helped an ancient ancestor move across the landscape eventually became part of what makes us human. Walking freed our hands, and those hands helped change everything. So why did humans start walking on two legs? There probably wasn't one single reason. Several pressures may have worked together, but evolution didn't have a plan. Nobody decided, let's build humans. Evolution simply kept filtering variations through survival and reproduction. Millions of years later, here we are, walking around on two legs, with backpacks, shopping bags, phones, and extremely expensive shoes. The next time you walk across a street, look down at your feet. Those feet are carrying the result of millions of years of evolutionary change. Your spine, your pelvis, your legs, your feet, all of them tell a story. A story that started long before humans existed. Our ancestors didn't wake up one morning and decide to become human. They took tiny evolutionary steps, again, and again, and again, until eventually those steps became us. We didn't become human in one giant leap. We got here, one step at a time.